when Peter Gabriel founded that Real World record label and started putting out things like, I remember getting the soundtrack to Last Temptation of Christ.
Yeah, I've got that. Yeah.
And all this incredible Moroccan drumming. Like I was heavily influenced by that stuff. So yeah, a lot of them are not even kit players. Big influences.
Yeah, well, it's rhythm, isn't it? It's about rhythm.
Yeah, rhythm and sonics.
Yeah, rhythm and sonics.
And drum machine stuff, like, the time, 777 9611, like hearing that, like, how did they program the machine to do that? Is that a drummer? Is it not? Like,
well, that's my thing with
snare sound.
That's my thing with hip hop. I'm not a hip hop guy at all. It's just hip-hop, it's not my generation. It's not my thing. But I love the rhythms of hip hop.
I was very influenced by like all that Bomb Squad, the production team that did the Public Enemy records, all the layering and the sonics that they did.
I mean, the programming is amazing, isn't
incredible.
it? Yeah,
it's incredible. Yeah, it's a whole other world.
Not really into the music, it's as such, but if they took all the I know it's all about the words and all about the personalities, but for me, I'd like to get all the hip hop records without the guy and just have the instrumentation.
They used to do that quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, like dub records.
They used to do that quite a lot. Yeah. A lot of early or earlier hip hop 12-inch singles quite often would have an instrumental version on the other side, which for two purposes. One, for people like yourself who go, I just want to hear the music, and also so that other DJs could spin their record. Yes. And do their thing without the vocal on it. Yeah, so it was like served like it also was like a DJ making a record to serve another DJ, which is quite cool. The concept like, I'm going to make this so somebody else can spin it and do their own thing with it, which is cool,
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm definitely really influenced by a lot of that. Yeah.
Do you know about Jackie Lieberzeit from Cannes?
Yeah, I sure do. You know what? I don't collect drum sets, but my one collectible instrument I have one of his kits.
Oh wow! Because I love him,
and I love his playing.
One of his kits. Wow.
Yeah,
cool.
I have. It's funny because I didn't buy it in Germany. Funnily enough, so I got into him. The musician I was talking about earlier, Chris Bruce, who we did the Jeff Beck record together. He turned me on to Can back when we were playing. I think we were working together with Seal at the time, like way back in the 90s, and he was like, you should check this out. And so he turned me on to Can, and I got really into Can, and I loved Jackie Leapside's playing.
So special.
And at some point when I was still living in LA, I got the idea, long story short, that I wanted an acrylic sonar drum kit, which is a bit of a rarity, but I like the Ludwig Vista lights like what Bonham had, but actually those kits were really not very, never sounded good. The one he had sounded good because it's John Bonham,
right?
They could have been buckets, those kits were poorly made, they went out of round, and they didn't sound great. And a friend of mine was like, you should check out the Sonar kits. They're, the Sonar, they're very beautifully German made, and they made acrylic kits that sound great. I was like, I'll check that out. And this is kind of early internet, because it was like 2002 or something like that, and I found the website of some guy in Köln, a guy who was a drum dealer, and he had loads of Sonar kits. And half the website was in German, which at the time I couldn't read because it was way before I moved to Berlin. And I picked out this kit that was a configuration, and I noticed it was like $100 more than the other kits.
Right.
And I was going to have it shipped to LA, so I ended up calling the guy on the phone and being like, well, I think I want this kit because this is the configuration and the color that I want. Can you ship it to LA, blah, blah, blah. And I said, it says something in German, like about the description, and I noticed it's a little bit more, like, is there something special about this kit? And he said, it belonged to a band, like a weird German band from the 60s. You never know, you would never know who that is. It doesn't matter, I'm like, well, who was it? And he's like, it's a band, you never heard of it. It's a band called Can. I'm like, I just kind of was like, I didn't want to make too much of a big deal. I didn't want to charge me more money, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh yeah, I know what Ken is. That's cool, great.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, I'll take it. And so I got that kit, but it was kind of on hearsay, you know.
Yeah.
And I bought the kit and I liked it. I used it on a bunch of records, and
Yeah.
it sounds amazing.
Right.
You wouldn't believe that it's an acrylic kit. And,
Right.
And when I got to Berlin, sometime after being there for a bit, I ended up at a party and I met someone who worked for Spoon Records,
Yeah.
which was Can's label.
Yeah.
And I said to her, I'm like, you know, this is a weird request, and if it's too bothersome, don't worry about it. But I have these drums that are allegedly Yaki's drums, and if I gave you a picture of them, could you show it to him and ask him if it's his? I'd be curious, and just let me know. And sometime, you know, I'm like, if it's too much trouble, I'm like, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
2 days later, I got an email from him saying,
wow.
yeah, those are definitely my drums. And because it had a couple features that he had to custom order at the time.
Right.
And he's like, they're definitely mine.
Yeah.
And I'm glad to know that they're still around. And it's funny that they came back to Germany.
Yeah. Wow.
And they're the drums that he uses. I guess he was saying that it was a kit that he used in the UK. They had a friend from Cologne that lived in London.
Oh, yeah.
And whenever they had UK dates, they had some gear that they kept with this friend.
Right.
And he's like, well, he must have pawned it at some point or whatever.
And I saw them in England in the 70s.
So you probably saw
him with that kit.
Yeah, because it's a red acrylic kit.
I saw him in Liverpool in 75 or something.
It would definitely be that kit, because it was that kit. It was made in 74.
Yeah.
It was built in 74, and it's red acrylic. It was a double bass. I only have half of it. I guess half of it kind of. I think he kept part of it, and the other part of it stayed with his friend.
Yeah.
But I've seen it in footage when they're like on. I think there's it's either Old Grey Whistle Test or another similar show from that time period.
Something
and
in
he's
England.
playing those drums.
I met Holger Chukai.
Yeah.
He was really nice. I met him when I was in Cologne once, doing something, and got to sit in a cafe and talk to him for a couple of minutes.
Oh, that's cool.
Which was really cool.
He seemed like he would be a real character.
He was really kind, and you know, and I was real. I was a real fan of Can, you know, and I was really, to sit and talk to him was just so great, you know, and he was really nice and answered all my questions, you know. It was really great. And of course, sadly, they're both, you know, there's only Ermin Schmidt is left now.
That's right.
All of them have died.
Yeah, because
all of them.
Damo
he
passed
died
away recently.
Yeah, and Jackie and Holger and Michael Caroli died a long time ago.
Yeah, he died a long time ago.
So there's only Ermin Schmidt left.
Yeah, that's right.
It's incredible, isn't it? Yeah.
Mm.
Yes. Well, you know, it goes A to Z all the way round, and then when it gets to Zappa, it comes to, on the other side, it goes to Ireland, it goes Zappa and ZZ Top. It goes Ireland, American folk, English folk, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, reggae, Africa, 60s and 70s, soul, funk, R&B, and then more contemporary stuff into the 80s. And that's a record cleaning machine. Because you kind of need one of those when you buy second-hand records. It's kind of a vacuum, and it sort of sucks the...
Oh, that's amazing.
Sucks the dandruff out of the grooves.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah,
I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Who makes that?
It's called a Moth. They're not cheap either. It's another present that somebody...
doesn't look like something cheap.
No, I know. It cost loads of money years ago, but I got it as a Christmas present or something. You know, 1 year. Super cool.
Wow.
This is the CD room.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
It's amazing how CDs. Yeah, you know, I mean, there's something. You know, now in retrospect, they're so. They're so much more tactile. You know, not, you know, they were poo-pooed so much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in comparison to vinyl, and then but it's like kind of like you don't know what you got till it's gone, right? So like
yeah.
then it goes, and but now there's nothing tangible,
Yeah.
to read the liner notes or whatever, and so
you get one of these Dylan bootleg CD thing that's got a booklet in it, and you know, I mean, I play CDs and vinyl, I play it all, you know. It's funny because I always think this is kind of depressing. It's a son dernier album, his last album.
Yeah.
It's like, oh god, do you really have to write that on there?
Like, that's a weird promo tool.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, really.
Yes,
I just showed that to Olivia. It says on this, we're just talking about Double Fantasy before, and this French copy has got son dernier album on there, his last album, which as Earl says, it's a really weird promo tool.
Yeah. You know? Yeah. Get it while it's hot.
Yeah, like he's dead. Get it now. So this is a continuation of the CDs. Vumph, you know, from N to Z, right down the hallway, and and on here, this is all can. this is all can.
Oh wow!
You know.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a can box set which I got. I have all the records, but the reason I have that can box set is actually one bootleg LP in there which I didn't have, but I got it because it was I saw it in the shop and it was some ridiculous price, and then the next time I went to the shop it was closing down, and that was for sale for half the price.
Oh wow!
So I was like, oh my god! So I'm definitely going to get it, even though I've got most of the records. But I've got I'm a big fan. I got everything: Holger Chukai and Jackie Lieberzeit's projects, and Ermin Schmidt and Michael Carolla. Everything. I got everything.
So many great
side projects. So many great side projects. So anyway, that's all Sweden, because I lived in Sweden, so I got a lot of Swedish records.
Okay, cool.
And this is France, Germany, France, Holland, Italy, Japan, Iceland, Finland. Denmark, you know, so all kind of just trying to sort of keep things separate, just to sort of make sense of having millions.
That's by country is pretty. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, countries rather than style, you know.
Yeah, no,
but
that's great.
Yeah, it's a bit of both.
I don't know, but that's cool though. I don't know if I've seen that. Someone set it up that way, which makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yeah, because I've got a lot of German. See, all this and all this is all German records.
Yeah.
Got a lot of German, a lot of Swedish records, a lot of French records, you know. That's the guitar I bought in. I
was going to say, this has been around for a minute.
Yeah, I bought that in the 70s in the shop that the Beatles bought there.
Oh, Arbiter?
No,
what was it called?
Hesse's, Frank Hesse's.
Okay.
Yeah, and that was a birthday present, I think, when I was 17 or 18 or something.
Wow.
And I've had it ever since, used it on a lot of records.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's cool. You still use it?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's classic. Yeah, it's really brilliant.
Fantastic.
This is all Sinatra, Nat King Cole, you know, Matt Monroe, Johnny Mathis, Sammy Davis Jr., Dean Martin, you know, all that kind of stuff.
Fantastic.
Yeah, and then all here it's Billie Holiday, Ella Fitzgerald, Peggy Lee, you know, all those guys and girls. And this here is all jazz. This is all jazz. So if you randomly take a record out of there, what would that be? Paul Horn. You know?
That's cool stuff.
Hot Club of Friends. Yeah. Yeah. You'd have a great time in there, let me tell you.
Freddie Hubbard's definitely my favorite.
Pardon?
Freddie Hubbard's definitely one of my favorite players. Yeah.
Are you ready?
Okay.
Are you sure?
Okay.
Are you sure you're sure? Ta-da!
Whoa! Holy shit! This place.
Yeah. So
now this is a vibe.
Yeah. This is a vibe. Let me just turn that music down a little bit. Even though it is the Kinks.
Ah.
Yeah.
This is great.
Yeah. We were in here yesterday doing a bit of recording, actually, because...
I was going to say, so this, you've been spending some time in here recently recording, probably, right?
Yeah, Olivia was in here singing a backing vocal. We were working on something which was being mixed, but for some reason the backing vocal wasn't there. And it was like, what do you mean it's not there? And it wasn't there. So she actually had to sing it last night at 2 a.m. To get it onto the track last minute. But yeah,
wow, this
all
is
my
great.
guitars and amps and studio setup. Just got Logic in there, you know. Just bought a mixing desk recently.
Tindersticks. Nice.
Yeah, I got a Fender 6 over there. It's an original one. So
Yeah, I had a copy in the 90s.
yeah, the copies are pretty good, they say.
It was really good. I couldn't get my head around it really. It was
Yeah.
because it is what it is. I wasn't. And
Yeah.
I'm not a real player.
Yeah.
I couldn't quite use it. But
That's a Fender 6. That is a baritone. That's a Telecaster baritone. You know, so it's...
shit, I need to watch my time
Yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm still good for about half an hour.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
you have it strung like a baritone, or is it a
Yeah,
baritone?
it is a baritone.
I didn't know Squire made baritone.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And so the neck's a bit longer.
Wow.
Yeah, there's a
That's cool.
Hofner Senator bass there.
Yeah.
Late 60s. That's a 59 Jazzmaster.
Beautiful Rickenbackers.
Yeah, I've got a nice collection of Rickenbackers. That's my thing, really, Rickenbackers. All over my Strat. I've got a M3 Les Paul and a Nash Telecaster. Yeah.
Wow. That's beautiful, Gretsch.
Yeah, I was using that's the last thing I used actually. I was messing around with that.
Is that its original finish, that blue?
Yeah, no, it's a reissue.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, but it's just got a nice colour, hasn't it?
Yeah, I haven't seen that cover.
Yeah. That might have been part of the reason I bought it.
That's that reason. The rest of it's just a guitar, right?
Yeah.
The rest of it is the neck and
Yeah,
strings.
that's, you know, I've got a few of those already. I just don't have one that colour. And those are Bowie Barbie dolls. Do you know about that?
No.
Bowie Barbie dolls.
I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
Wow. When did that happen?
Yeah. A few years ago. I don't know, they're probably going to be,
That's
in 10 years, they're going to be super valuable collector's items, probably.
I'm sure.
They weren't that expensive buying them when you bought them when they first came out, but you know,
That's nuts. I've never seen that.
yeah, got the 12 strings there. Those two Ricks are 12 strings, the black one and the blonde one.
What is this?
That's a Shergold, it's English make,
Wow.
and that's a Burns Baldwin 12 string. One's the Burns is like 67, 68 somewhere there, and the Shergold's some 70s. Yeah.
I saw a really interesting guitar collection when I was in Barcelona.
Mm-hmm.
The tour manager, a friend of mine, Andrew Burns, he lives there. He's an American, but he lives there, and he's like, I'm going to take you to this. There's a guy that he knew that was curating a collection of motorcycles, vintage motorcycles, and vintage guitars.
Oh.
And a really cool collection of both.
Yeah.
But what was really special about the guitar collection, I mean, many things that you expect, okay, gold top Les Paul, whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, great stuff, but
Yeah.
he had a lot of original Spanish guitars from classical players, from
Yeah.
traditional players,
Yeah.
some from like turn of the century, some a little bit earlier.
Segovia.
Yeah.
Narciso Yepes.
He had a bunch
Yeah.
of that stuff.
Yeah.
And that was
Yeah.
really fantastic,
Yeah.
really beautiful. And someone mentioned, it wasn't, he didn't say that, but someone mentioned that I guess in that world, because I have a friend who's a classical guitarist, I need to ask him about that, but apparently in that world at a certain point the instrument, I guess it's not, the players don't tend to hold on to an instrument for life. Because at some point it loses its integrity or whatever and just doesn't sound the same.
Oh, wow.
So they actually prefer to have I need to find out if that's true, but that somebody was saying.
What about the old myth of the guitar aging and being more beautiful? Is that not true in classical?
I guess if you are looking for a certain purity of tone and that changes, it makes sense. You kind of go, well, that doesn't sound as good as it did when it came fresh out of my luthier's shop. So I'll let that go. And maybe that's how this guy came across having all these. And I need to ask a friend of mine about that.
Because, we live in a world as guitar players where, that 1960 Rickenbacker is just another world next to a new one. And that 59 Jazzmaster is just another world next to a new one.